So nearby, everyone.
Yay.
For the first time in, 6 months, we're all in the same place recording a Fat Fiend video together.
I think every single time I come to Sheffield to record, it's been like a different location that we record.
It has been. So I'm going to get a beer to celebrate.
Where's ours?
Whiskey if you want some.
That's fine.
So you can get a drink if you want
Add
one.
it to my Diet Coke.
You can if you like, but I was just saying, celebrating. It's my day off, I've exercised, and yeah, you ready to talk about Twilight?
Yes!
Oh god.
Embarrassingly, I know lots about Twilight.
We're talking
Hello,
about,
Spider Monkey.
we're basically talking about Twilight today, because we're talking about 50 Shades of Grey. For anyone out there who doesn't remember the shitstorm or tornado, that was the release of 50 Shades of Grey and the subsequent dunking on from low orbit by connoisseurs of the fuckbook genre. You're in for a treat today. It was one of the many reasons why the series was criticised. It's an obvious rip-off of Twilight, and also because the author of 50 Shades of Grey tried to sue people for having sex.
Like, just in general, she's just against sex.
Well, we can get to that, but first I think we should talk about, just 50 Shades of Grey. So, Brad, you said you know an embarrassingly large amount about 50 Shades of Grey, which I just think means you know anything about it.
Well, no, what I said was I know a lot about Twilight, but I do know a bit about 50 Shades of Grey.
If you know about Twilight, then you know about 50 Shades of Grey. So do you know that 50 Shades of Grey, I'm assuming everyone knows that he started life as Twilight fanfiction?
Allegedly.
No, it's admitted it started life
Oh, I
as
thought she
fanfiction.
still denied it.
No, she does. She denies that the script that became 50 Shades of Grey started life as Twilight fanfiction, which you can get to in a moment, but it is pretty well documented that 50 Shades of Grey was Twilight fanfiction, which started life on some fanfiction website somewhere, and do you know what it was called?
What?
Master of the Universe, which is hilarious because it makes it sound like Skeletor was involved.
Yeah.
Out of my way, beast!
It really does, and I'm very confused because, I've always known that it's meant to be this weird fanfic thing, but all are werewolves and shit involved.
No.
Have
So
you
it's-
never seen 50 Shades of Grey?
Oh no! I'm
No.
sorry that I didn't miss the masterpiece of the year.
You're missing out on some great quotes.
Well, the thing is, though, the first film is kind of good as just a romantic comedy with a lot of sex in it.
It's just beyond this door.
What is?
My playroom.
Like your Xbox and stuff?
No,
Like
it
a-
It's
isn't.
good to laugh at it.
It's kind of good compared to the second two, because the first one was directed by a woman. And then there's a load of behind-the-scenes drama we can get to in a bit, whereas the second one was directed by a man. And the husband of the guy who wrote the books, because she was a huge dick behind the scenes.
Do you remember any of the quotes from 50 Shades of Grey?
Anal fistings off the table.
There's one. We've got, I don't make love, I fuck hard. And my personal favourite, I'm 50 Shades of fucked up.
The best
I
line.
mean,
Best line.
I already wasn't interested the moment Carl took anal fisting off the table.
But that's it. We need to talk about, we need some backstory, because that's the thing. I think everyone knows of 50 Shades by reputation, but they don't know too much about how it came into being. And that's kind of awesome, in a way of people making videos where we dunk on it, because it's hilarious. So it started life as fan fiction called Master of the Universe.
Oh, why do I surround myself with fools? Even the robots are smarter than you.
Written by a lady called Erica Mitchell.
Sounds like something Marvel related, doesn't it?
It sounds like He-Man stuff, Master of the Universe, and it was it was straight up just fan fiction.
I don't make love, I fuck hard.
Do you know that guy's still alive? Like Alan Oppenheimer's still alive, and you can get him to do quotes of Skeletor.
Oh my god, yes.
Can we get him to
I
say
can't
that anal
afford him.
fisting is off the table?
I'm already trying to save up to pay Alistair Duncan, the voice of Armstrong, to say sub to my Twitch stream. But it started life as fan fiction, written about Twilight, where she removed the fact they were vampires and transplanted it into, I think, Vegas or something, where Edward's now a high-powered businessman who just wants to fuck Bella. So it's just Twilight, but what if they fuck from moment one?
Do you have a girlfriend? Is that it?
I don't do the girlfriend thing.
What is that even?
Watch it!
And
But I just don't get why you would take Twilight and go, Tell you what we should do. Remove all the interesting parts.
What, the fact they're vampires?
Vampires and werewolves are at least a cool setting to be part of.
But you've not got to the best bit, Lucas. So I want to tell you two things. The first thing is that Erica Mitchell has claimed in the years since that she had no idea what fanfiction was and that she got into it on a whim.
Is that the creator?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she said that. Like, so it's E.L. James, but it's Erica Mitchell's her real name, not a pseudonym. So she says, I didn't know what fanfiction was. I heard about it, I was curious, I wrote this fanfiction about Twilight, then I wrote 50 Shades of Grey. I'm now going to tell you the name she wrote fanfiction under and tell me if you believe that. So the name she wrote fanfiction under was Snow Queen's Ice Dragon. Does that sound like a name you come up with if you're not already super into... That's not a name you come up with on the fly for the first time you want to dip your toes in the world of fanfiction. That's someone who's deep into that shit, right?
That sounds to me like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, if they'd made as many Yu-Gi-Oh as there were Pokemon.
That's the thing. Mate, there's way more Yu-Gi-Oh cards than
Really? I thought Yu-Gi-Oh was done.
Yu-Gi-Oh is never...
Mate,
Yu-Gi-Oh's-
you're done. You're done.
Mate, Yu-Gi-Oh will never be done.
What trickery is this? I draw!
Ever.
There are thousands and thousands of cards.
Yeah, there's only 800 Pokemon.
There's just over 1,000.
Huh?
They
Not-
had
not
the golden cheese string was the number 1,000 Pokemon.
Of course, yeah. So,
I'm not even lying, honestly.
God,
mate.
but no, we need to get back because, like, as I said...
This whole video is going to be you trying to drag us on topic,
It is,
isn't
so
it? It's a nice change, isn't it?
So, Master of the Universe, right? You know, let's get that. The fan fiction that she wrote of Twilight is basically a word-for-word rip-off of Twilight. And I know that's the thing people say. They say, oh, it's a rip-off of Twilight. No, it is so close that we know that only about 11% of the story that she wrote as part of her fan fiction is different. And do you know how we got such an exact figure?
Google.
Someone... Someone ran Master of the Universe through a plagiarism checker. Do you know Turnitin and stuff like that that they use for plagiarism checkers? And it came up as 89% identical to Twilight.
It's a shame it wasn't 69.
I mean, I'm literally thinking in my head, it's like, how much percent of Naruto is actually canon and not filler? It's like, it's about the same.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. It's, they ran it through a plagiarism check and it was 89% the same as Twilight. So, like, you can't just say that you're lifting ideas and transplanting to another. Like, no, it's just word for that, like, going through, changing the names and the numbers and the locations, but not enough where it's like even Turnitin like flagged it as being just this is 90% Twilight, and if it's 90% Twilight, it's basically 100% Twilight.
Yeah, I don't really know that you can get away with saying like something's your own original work when it's 89% someone else's
Yeah,
work.
keep in mind we get copyright strikes. Like, this is a thing that can happen on YouTube, folks. If we put in like 3 or 4 seconds of say 50 Shades of Grey and we get copyright struck for that, the original rights holder will claim 100% of our earnings for this video for using like, you know, less than 1% of our content being their content. And then you've got like Erica Mitchell being like, yeah, it's my own original idea. It's 90% Twilight. And that's one of the reasons why she has since claimed that, hey, yeah, I initially wrote some Twilight fan fiction, but then 50 Shades of Grey was a completely new thing. It was, you know, that was my first foray into fanfiction. Then I wrote 50 Shades, and that's an original idea. And you might be thinking, wait, but this all happened online. Can't you just go and look at you can just read it, right? No, because since she got big and sold the book and the movie rights, she has removed all evidence of the fan fiction from the internet to the point where she has sent cease and desist to people who've hosted it. Like, you know, some people, oh, I like this, I'm going to host it on my own website. And contacted the Internet Wayback Machine to scrub it from the archives of the internet.
You can't scrub the archives, that's not fair.
Someone's getting really like...
That, Carl, is 50 Shades fucked up.
That's the thing. But like, think about though, like, do you believe a word? Like, I already didn't believe her, but when she's like doing that and then scrubbing the internet of any evidence that it existed.
Yeah, innocent people don't scrub evidence from like, the entire internet.
It's like when you open up someone's laptop and you go Google search and they've got no history whatsoever. That's way more suspicious than if you go on and it's just like, big honking dongs have been searched for somewhere.
When I came back, my history was gone, the cache was cleared, and the cookies had been reset.
That's the thing. So are we all on the same page now? Just like Lucas, like just because we've been like back and forth. So just reiterate what I've just said as simply as you can.
She wrote fan fiction for Twilight and turned it into a fucked up movie that didn't contain any werewolves at all, apparently.
Yeah, I think it'd been better if it did have a werewolf in it, but they never told anyone. That'd be great. But so yeah,
What, just like the background of one scene, like when they're just talking, you see a werewolf run past.
yeah, I'd like that.
Surprise werewolf.
I mean, there could still be werewolves in that universe. You just don't see them because they're not the main characters anymore.
We don't know.
Still exist.
But yeah, so I think hopefully we're all on the same page of like how 50 Shades of Grey came into existence. And basically, the instant it became a hit, E.L. James, Erica Mitchell became a huge arsehole. Like started waving like a dick around, like Christian Grey would. They'd be like, no, I'm in charge. Like like swinging that dick everywhere. Like, no, this is my story. I'm gonna tell everyone what to do.
James was actually not there to stand on the sidelines and overlook how her book is getting turned into a movie. Dakota elaborated, she had a lot of creative control all day, every day, and she just demanded that certain things happen. There were parts of the books that just wouldn't work in a movie, like the inner monologue, which was at times incredibly cheesy. It wouldn't work to say out loud, it was always a battle, always.
I will say, Carl, I posture she might have already been an asshole.
Yes. She worked in television before doing this, so we can assume that someone who worked in a production capacity probably had a bit of egomania about them, because it's you need to have a bit of sociopathy to succeed in an industry like that. And actually, I probably shouldn't say that because she's quite litigious.
Allegedly.
You know what? I'm trying to think, how can I reword it to not... Because I know that under libel, you can call someone a prick. You can say someone's a prick.
So that's an opinion.
Yeah. But you can't, if you say something like they're like, they've got sociopathic tendencies, that's like, something more specific. I'm just going to say, she's a bit of a prick. And we know this because everyone who's worked with her is like, she's a bit of a prick.
There's been talk about how you and E.L. James didn't always agree on things, and when you've got the author on set, I think that's pretty inevitable. What were the things that you kind of split on most?
I think we debated everything,
including the people working on the 50 Shades of Grey movies, including the actor and actresses who starred in it. So, do you know when I said like the first movie's kind of alright? Because it was directed by a woman, and she looked at it and went, "Well, this." Yeah, it's not a great script. The dialogue's not great, but there's a story here. We can tell a story. We can adapt this. And
this whole time you're like, oh, it was a pretty great movie. I'm just picturing the bit within the fucking elevator at the end and just like, Anastasia, Christian, the doors.
Well, no, that's why, because every time they tried to deviate from the original source material, Erica Mitchell, who got a really, really good deal when she signed on. Keep in mind, her only creative output prior to that point was fan fiction. That was 90%
the good deal is her shit story gets made into a film.
Yeah, but she had an almost unprecedented amount of creative control. She basically had veto rights over any changes, and every time the director tried to make a change, such as this dialogue is shit, I want to change it, Erica Mitchell do not change my story, which is why those bad lines made it in.
Stop.
No.
Because when she tried to, soften some lines, change some of the lines, maybe, rejumble this scene so it's it flows a bit better, Erica Mitchell would swagger in and be like, well, I've got carte blanche to do what I want. No, put it back. And for example, sex scenes. They talk about the two actors. Do you know the names? Is it Jamie?
Jamie Dornan and
come on.
Dakota
Fanning?
No.
I don't think it's Dakota Fanning.
Dakota something. Oh, I forgot.
Either way,
Arizona.
those two actors would talk about how there's a lot of sex scenes in these movies, And the first movie, they said, was it awkward? Well, it was a little bit, but the director was really, really like patient with us, and she walked us through everything. She made sure that even though we're supposed to have none of these sex scenes that involve rough sex, she was walking us through the moments and made sure that we were comfortable and at ease with each other. When they brought in like the fucking work for hire nobody who did the second and third movie, and Erica Mitchell's husband, like there's a story from like the actress like, yeah, we get drunk between takes. It was so painful to get through, we had to get drunk. And you can see the scenes in the movie where she's visibly drunk.
Are these burns? Who did this to you?
Because they couldn't read the dialogue. They felt so uncomfortable. Because the director's like, do it, read the lines as they're written, as instead of being a bit more patient with them when they're doing these awkward scenes.
Are there any stories that need to be told less than those two sequels? Nothing happens in them.
The first one?
Well, no, the first one has a plot.
Right,
the second and third ones don't have a plot. Like
Werewolves
halfway
everywhere.
through, a random villain turns up and tries to kidnap them.
And part
it's
of the
really
reason
weird.
why that is the
Should've
case,
done
like I said, the director of the first one kept trying to make changes, and Erica Mitchell's like, no. Well, this is all just to set the scene for Erica Mitchell trying to ban people having sex. Because that's the thing, you all forgot about that bit, right? So, so what we established so far, Erica Mitchell, huge swaggering asshole, thinks she's like, no, God's gift, even though she's written a terrible book. Allegedly. No, you don't say allegedly when you say something. Well, not when we've got like behind the scenes interviews of like the director saying, like the director would frequently get into screaming matches with Mitchell in front of the cast and crew.
Whenever you say Mitchell, I'm just picturing Phil Mitchell now. We scream match with
Where's
Mitchell.
my crack?
Just Phil Mitchell and give me some crack.
What's a crack?
Need my crack.
Need my crack. What's going on, Phil? I need my crack. But
So you need professional help. What I need is crack.
this is a mess. But let's just step back. Like no, I think it's safe to say that the success of 50 Shades of Grey is at least partially owed to the work of somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say diplomatically, Mitchell's success is somewhat owed to another creator, someone else whose work she. Let's just be nice about this.
Mayors of Stolen.
She was inspired by, right? That's fair to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shortly after 50 Shades of Grey came out, was a huge success. People started writing fan fiction of 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, there's like loads of other books like that. Basically, the same sort of story,
Yeah.
but just other authors.
There's also, as well, a lot of fan fiction of Twilight, which you could argue is very similar to 50 Shades of Grey, just by definition. But do you want to guess what Mitchell did when people started writing fan fiction of 50 Shades of Grey and using the characters that she owned?
Did she crack down on it?
She did it.
Like Phil Mitchell and his crack?
So we can't confirm this because this is one of those things where we just have the word of anonymous fan fiction authors who got cease and desists. And numerous fan fiction authors said we got cease and desist from companies saying that they represented, like, you know, Mitchell and her interests, and they told to take down our fan fiction of 50 Shades of Grey, even though 50 Shades of Grey's success is owed to fan fiction. But it gets better because there was also a lot of people who like making merch, and fair enough, like, you own the rights to those characters, you're making merch. So like, someone like tries to put, like, you know, Christian Grey on a t-shirt. I get why you'd be annoyed about that, but after the film came out and the books came out, there was a lot of like older women who are like, you know what, I like punishing sex with like buff men, and they started making, you know, parties for that. They were having 50 Shades of Grey parties, and they got sent cease and desist letters.
For partying.
Yeah. But think about that though, of like, they did 50 Shades of Grey themed like parties, or like, you know, women like sell dildos or whatever, or just like, you know, wear masks and read the book. They got sent cease and desist letters.
Like, I get why it's a bad thing, but at the same time, I understand why a creator might not want their name attached to that. I don't know why this creator.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
But like,
if this was anything else.
If it was a Mickey Mouse fuck party, I get why Disney would crack down.
Yeah, if they were like, no, we're going to do a Disney-themed dildo giveaway,
yeah,
you'd be like, Disney doesn't want it. But when your book is built off the back of, like, you know,
Disney glam,
like romanticizing, like, you know, BDSM, like, I know there's going to be people out there like, you know, it's a really bad representation of that culture.
Of course, yeah, but it's still trying to like bring that culture to a forefront.
Yeah, and no, people who aren't too into it, like, it's their first experience into it. And when you're going to throw a party where it's like, oh, let's sell some sex toys. What's the first thing that pops into your mind when you think that's in the public zeitgeist? It's 50 Shades of Grey. And it's like she was sending like cease and desist. She wasn't, but her company and people represented were sending cease and desist letters to like housewives who were just like selling dildos to each other. That to me is hilarious because it's just the idea of like the fact that they cared about that makes it hilarious. It's like when you hear about the Super Bowl sending like cease and desist to like a bar with a maximum occupancy of like 40 people saying, come watch the Super Bowl here. Or saying we have a Super Bowl like beer giveaway or something like that. It's like, why do you give a fuck?
Well, this is it, guys. Our big commercial for the Super What was that?
It's the lawyers. They won't let us say super.
Not even for a Super commercial?
Nope, it's trademark.
But I get why you give a shit if someone's like ripping it off trying to make a movie. Like these are people who just, like, they just want to enjoy your thing and are using it as like, a means of establishing like an immediate point of familiarity. And you're like, no, fuck you.
It's like, how dare you use my branding in a similar way to I would, that then gets the name of my book and film out there more?
And I could get it if, like I say, if it was anything like, Disney, it makes sense. But when the success of this series is directly built off the back of this lady just taking someone else's idea, that's what makes it so funny. And if anyone curious, has the author of Twilight, Stephenie Meyer, ever said anything about 50 Shades of Grey? She's been very quiet.
I'm sure you've been asked about the whole 50 Shades phenomenon because it was derived from kind of fan fiction with Bella and Edward. Have you read? Do you know anything about it?
No, it's really not my kind of book.
However, she has apparently been very annoyed. Do you remember when they announced that Midnight Sun? Is that the one that's like from the perspective of Edward? Do you ever hear about that? Is it Midnight Sun? There was a Twilight book from the perspective of Edward. When she was going to release that, I think a few chapters got leaked and she took it down. Do you know the real reason? Oh, not the purported reason she did that. It's because when Erica Mitchell heard about it, she announced that she was going to do a 50 Shades of Grey novel from the perspective of Christian Grey. And the rumoured reason is that Stephenie Meyer's who'd been very quiet, very diplomatic, and whenever she gets asked about what do you think of 50 Shades of Grey, she's like, I'm glad they've got the success. And she was probably well within her rights to shut that shit down. And there's a pretty strong case, it's 90% similar to your work. Copyright cases have been won on less than that.
While Meyer has refrained from litigating anything about the relationship between Twilight and 50 Shades, Mitchell's lawyers have not been so magnanimous and kind, cracking down heavily on derivative works that capitalize on the popularity of 50 Shades, describing them as parasitic.
And she remained mum about it, but then it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a book from the perspective of Edward. And then Erica Mitchell's like, hey, I'm going to write a book from the perspective of Christian Grey.
I really want to know what the perspective of Edward is. It's like, I love going to high schools and hunting down 15-year-old girls.
Apparently it's quite good. My ex-girlfriend read it and said it's really good.
Do they just gloss over the nonce part?
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a way to put it.
That's probably the nicest way to put it. It is the equivalent of a 120-year-old man hitting on a high school student.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that some of what we said. I hope some of what we said made sense.
Is he?
I don't know.
I was never really a fan of Edward Cullen or Taylor.
So you're Team Jacob then?
Even then, I'm just like, eh.
I was always Team Jacob.
I was none. Just none. I wasn't interested.
I like werewolves and vampires that aren't in this movie.
That's fair enough. And probably nothing I just said made sense. That was probably 20 minutes of waffling. The thing is, I edit these now, and now I feel bad for future me. Future me's got to edit.
No, you should feel bad for past us. We've had to deal with this for years.
That's fair. You know what? In a way, I deserve this. And do you know what else people deserve? They deserve free shit. Well, it's not really free, because they've got to subscribe to our Patreon. But if you subscribe to our Patreon, which you can find a link below, you can get free shit, which includes...
Oh, sorry, I was trying to come up with a one-liner and you got me in the middle of it.
Yeah, I did. How's it feel?
What were we getting again? What was the question?
What free stuff can people win? what free stuff. I have to say that now because I feel like I'm in a very being aware of like stuff I could say that would be litigious.
Yes, it's not technically free. You have to be a supporter of us on Patreon, but every single person who supports us on Patreon will get access to like a monthly discount code on the Psycho store, which works for our merch or Psycho's merch.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are also doing monthly giveaways where one lucky supporter, again from like any tier, will be able to take part in a like friendly competition for a chance to win just any free shirt from that store as well.
Yeah. So, like for example, we're gonna do like ask people to like submit a Fiend meme, and we're gonna make content out of this as well. So it helps us make some content, and as a thank you for the people helping make the content, one person who submits the best bit of content that we help make. I'm a writer. That's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I didn't make fun of Mitchell being a bad writer. I'm a bad writer.
Basically, you can send us funny memes and we'll go through them and pick which one we like the best.
And to clarify, it's not always going to be memes.
Oh, this is just
like,
this time.
Yeah, memes for this month, but like obviously this video is going out later in the month.
I might not even edit this one. I might look at the footage and be like, no, thanks.
Yeah, so
I'll just get a link in the middle of the night like, Brad, this is yours.
all you need to know is that every month we will do some kind of friendly competition where one person will win a free t-shirt for the best input.
And it'll be really easy to enter. Like, we're not going to expect people to start making like anything too dramatic. So, like, we've done giveaways like this in the past. Like, I remember once, I think I gave away my copy of Anthem.
Oh,
and it was like, please draw the front cover. Someone drew on like toilet roll, I think, and I sent them my copy of Anthem. I think on a stream once I gave away my copy of Metal Gear Solid Rising. I sent that away.
Oh, did you actually just call it Metal Gear Solid Rising?
Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, right?
No, Metal Gear Rising.
You play it every week.
Hey, I do on Twitch. You can find the links to that below.
God's sake.
The real question is, do you know what the tagline is for Metal Gear Rising Revengeance?
I think it's
because it wasn't tactical espionage action. Anymore.
No, it's like tactical cutting action or something.
Tactical slicing action.
I don't think it was any of those. I'm trying to like.
Oh, wait, I thought you knew.
No,
Oh,
I was genuinely curious.
You know, Lucas. Google.
Google. So while I find that out,
I was going to say, what I do. Did I miss anything from the? No, just there's a picture of Skeletor. Yeah. She targeted people throwing 50 Shades of Grey sex parties. So she thought she invented the concept of people fucking wearing a mask. So she's never been to a Halloween party, I suppose.
I'm trying to think of some other quotes. They're the only ones that stick with me.
I think it's one of those films I feel like you could do a drinking game to as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all the stupid cringy stuff that happens. It's like, because I think it
was
on TV the other night, and like in our Discord we were just joking about every other quote that was happening. It's like, can you believe this?
If you do it with the book, if you open up the book and it's every time she describes, do you know like when you're a kid and you learn how to write, and you think every time you change the perspective of who's talking, you have to put like, oh, hello, he said.
Yeah.
How are you? They responded. She does that for every single line of dialogue, even in scenes where it's just two people talking.
Once you've established that, you don't
that's
need to do that.
Literally, one of the first things you learn as a writer is once you've established, like, you know, who the words are coming from, you don't need to do that anymore. And like, she does it for every single. It's like when you reread Harry Potter, and you realise that J.K. Rowling, the way she she'll describe a character and everything about them in like 3 massive paragraphs, and then never talk about them ever again. At the start of every single like introduction to a character is just describing what they're wearing, what they look like, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find it out, Lucas?
I did. Apparently, it was lightning bolt action.
Lightning bolt action. No wonder I remember that.
And that wasn't actually like in the final title. That was just, you know, kind of like a jokey thing they did during marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of marketing, I want to go back to our Patreon because remember when we said any tier to Patreon gets access to a monthly discount code?
Yes.
That means using that discount code, you literally save money by becoming a patron member.
Yeah, that's true. So if you want to use that discount code to go buy anything from the store, including our merch or Psycho's merch, and they do a lot of good stuff there, constantly releasing new stuff, putting us to shame. You can go out their Arcana line, you can go that. A $1 tier will give you a 10% discount, which off a £15 t-shirt is £1.50.
And it's not just off t-shirts, it's off anything in the store.
Anything in the store.
So yeah, you're literally saving money by going over to our Patreon if you want to get some merch.
So can we describe that as free? Is that technically
That's
free?
not technically free because you still have to spend money.
Is it free?
It's a smart thing to do.
Okay, so I'm trying to think, like, Joe, and someone's like when you free delivery. Well, it's not free, is it? Because I've got to pay 20
Well,
quid
it's
for
like
them.
buy one get one free. You have to buy something to get the actual extra things.
When
Does that
people
count?
tell me like a game's free with Game Pass, it's like, but I'm paying for my Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm
it's
just
included within the price.
I'm just very aware now that I might say something that's going to get me. I've never been sued before, but I have had people threaten me to take stuff down, so I don't want this. Knowing how litigious this lady is.
Taking a shot at it though, isn't it?
What you found, Brad?
Do you want to hear some 50 Shades quotes?
I'll tell you what, we've got a minute before the recording cuts off, so give me a quote each.
Well, I mean, I remembered one myself from the film, which
You've got a minute, so.
What was it? What's a butt plug? I think that was one.
Okay. Nisha likes to read a line.
I'm reading it out.
That's my favourite 50 Shades quote.
I would give everyone a dramatic reading. I have rules. If you follow them, I'll reward you. If you don't, I'll punish you. Oh. Dramatic reading there.
Dramatic.
I do. If I wasn't worried about us getting in trouble for it, I would put on the Patreon. Maybe we'll do an audio reading of I'll do an audio reading the first chapter or something. But I know I'd get in trouble for it.
She's probably gonna watch the video.
She does name search herself.